Oppa Gundam style, everybody, and welcome back to Wow Cool Robot, a podcast about Mobile Suit Gundam. My name is Max, as always, and today I am joined by special guest...
Kilozaku. Or maybe my name is being withheld for the episode viewers until further notice.
Oh. We have watched episode 2 of Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuuX. And let me tell you. So, okay, you've seen the movie, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I have not. So this is all new to me. So I didn't know. I knew it was alternate history UC, right? Like that was kind of like that leaked pretty quickly when GQuuuuuX was first revealed, but I didn't know how hard they would go as far as alternate history UC, to the point of, oh, this is literally the exact same as the first episode of Gundam. The music is the same. The fucking eye catches. I was watching this at work, trying not to like make noises at my desk because I was geeking out so hard.
Yeah, I was definitely more in the camp of dismissive jerk-off motion every time Char exactly repeats one of Amuro's lines.
Oh, brother. See, I said this in the Discord. I usually am trying to be the kind of guy of like, fuck nostalgia. I don't want to be pandered to, because, and that's maybe more of like a reflex of having been a Star Wars fan for so long. I mean, what is it? It's like flirting when Gundam does it, sexual harassment when Star Wars does it. But I don't know. Maybe just because this is such a sort of like relatively small show, like it's only going to be 12 episodes, that I'm much more okay with it because it's very clearly trying to be its own thing.
Yeah, the thing I like about GQuuuuuX is that it's just having fun with the idea. Like, it's bringing in true glub shido Charllia bull.
Right!
I think a lot of... How do I put this? I have issues with how certain other Gundam media picks up loose plot threads of the UC anyways. So I think I kind of prefer this, where it's just like, we're just getting goofy silly with it, right? It's not, I think, trying to be as deep a commentary on the themes and ideas of the original thing.
Right. Like if we had a modern remake of 0079, I would be hate watching it. I would be like, you don't need to fucking touch it. It's fine. If it was like, a 24 or 48 episode show that like was just sort of like an alternate history of 0079, I'd be like, you don't need to spend this much time on it. GQuuuuuX being such a contained thing, not part of any other like series or timeline, like for what it is, I'm like, okay, this is fine, because they do this and then they immediately jump back to 5 years later in 0085. So it's just like it's basically like a lore dump kind of, but it's done in a way that I feel like is pretty like respectful and yeah, like you said, they're getting silly with it, and I like that.
Yeah, I can respect the joke when it's like, we've mass-produced the Big Zam, and I'm like, yeah, okay, man, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, that's what everyone wants. They did the thing. But before we start talking into too much detail about it, I have a summary. This is a quick one because there's a lot less to sort of go over in broad strokes in the first episode. This is Gundam GQuuuuuX episode 2, The White Gundam. We get a rundown of the alternate history that happened in 0079. An action as simple as Char going to Side 7 instead of Jean led him to getting in the Gundam, capturing it along with the white base for Zeon, and presumably becoming a much more refined new type. Teaming up with Charllia Bull, he inadvertently ended the war due to his Psycom going haywire, causing a Zek Nova, which destroyed 1/3 of Luna 2, which the Federation were planning on crashing into the Zeon-captured Granada on the moon, Char's counterattack style. Charllia Bull has now spent the last 5 years searching for Char, who went missing after said Zek Nova. Yes, that's kind of it. It's just like, oh yeah, 1 year war happened, Zeon won, Char's gone, he went into the soup and we can't find him.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because I'm obviously coming into this from the perspective of, oh yeah, I watched this in the cinema, where, the cinema release goes in perfect chronological order, just starts on Char enters the colony, just like 0079. Yeah. I think it's also really interesting that they have truncated the ending bit, because there's a lot more Charllia, hanging out yaoi style in the other cut. and it expands on the events that caused the Zeknova. And I wanted to ask you, as someone who's only seen this version, how do you find the choice of leaving the, let's say, very fan servicey early part mostly unedited and just kind of going past the part that seems like it might be more plot relevant to the show we're currently watching?
I mean, so I've seen people talk about this in the Discord, how they think that they're gonna go back to the flashback later on in the series to kind of show the parts that were cut out. I mean, you definitely get it, and you definitely understand it in broad strokes. I feel like because it's Gundam, because it's like, you know, one of like the top 10 or whatever most profitable media franchises on the planet, you have to have the fan servicey parts. There definitely was a point, like, you know, halfway through the episode where it's like, oh, we're like picking up so much speed, and they're going over like, I do kind of wish they spent more time on the things that were actually different, because once they start going over like how the war has changed a little bit, I'm like, wait, hold on, what do you mean they're mass producing giant mobile armors? Talk about that more. I think it's fine for the purpose of just sort of like understanding why things are different. My biggest question that like I hope the show will go back to is like, what caused the Zeknova? Because every time something like that has happened, it's never been a single new type doing it. It's always like when multiple new types are sort of clashing together. Like, you know, Char's counterattack wouldn't have happened if like Amuro was pushing Axis by himself and Char wasn't there to do it. Like the Axis shock wouldn't have happened, and he would have like probably failed. So it makes me feel like there's something more that they're sort of withholding from us. Because like we didn't hear about Lala. Charllia Bull doesn't seem to have been involved in the Zeknova. Like you see him watching it, but the show doesn't seem to imply that like he was part of the sort of reaction of that thing happening. Like,
yeah, I mean, I can tell you that I definitely know more details about this from watching the movie cut, which is, I don't know, do you want me to expound what happened in, like, the extended version of this?
I mean, part of me wants to say no, because I wonder if the show will go over it, because that feels like a big thing for the show to leave out of, like, why the Zeknova happened. But then the other part of me is like, well, if it was that important that it was going to be like some late big reveal, why would they put it in like the recomp movie that people went to see before the actual show came out? So yeah, go ahead. Let's for the sake of discussion, I want to know what happens.
Yeah, okay. So in the big event where they're trying to drop, oh god, wait, which asteroid was it? It's not Axis.
They're dropping Solomon. No, I'm sorry. They're dropping Luke. They're dropping Solomon on it. They're dropping Solomon on Granada.
Right.
I think I said I think like the Zeknova blew up part of Luna 2, which is like, I guess nearby because it's like the moon. But no, I believe that the Federation captured Solomon because you see it's like this sort of like diamond shaped rock that they're like launching onto Granada.
Okay, so within Solomon, piloting the Red Gundam, Charllia Bull and Char go in. Charlia's in the Brabro. Outside doing stuff, and Char goes in and fights the Federation's ace pilot, Sailor Mass.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude! That's cool. Okay, so that's definitely going to come up later in the show then, because that's an insane thing to not bring up.
And then he... Oh god, I'm trying to remember how exactly this went. He tries to blow up the asteroid, it fails, no one knows what to do, and he goes in and tries to, I think, blow up the Gundam inside the base, to divert it, before he hears a mysterious singing noise, and, then it's much like you've seen the first episode, everything goes space colors, and who knows what happens.
That's the
someone
thing.
Also, at this point, someone also says a very, double parentheses lore term that I've forgotten. It's like the diva of something,
Interesting. Because, the singing voice certainly brings Lala Soon to mind. We haven't seen her. We heard that voice in episode 1, too, when Machu enters the soup.
Now hear me out. Or have we?
That's
crack theory
point.
Time. There's a lot of funny speculation about Machu and Nyan are main characters. Of course, people have dropped all sorts of wild theories. I think most commonly that either Nyan is actually Lala, or that Machu is actually Haman.
I've seen the Machu's Haman theory, and I was like, I don't know, that doesn't seem quite right to me.
I mean, clearly she's actually Fuala Griffin. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it beyond the writing team, although I will say, directing-wise, I forget exactly who it is, but, like, main direction is one of the other guys over at Kara. The flashback segment was led by Ano.
Interesting.
So I feel like that's why it's extra fan servicey, because it's done by the biggest nerd at the studio.
Fucking yeah, Hideaki Anno. That's yeah. And what I hope, it's great seeing all the characters in the flashback. For the purposes of the actual show, I don't want everyone to show up and be involved in it. Like Charllia Bull's fine. The whole mystery of Char is fine. I don't need, like, every other character who would have been in 0079 to, like, show up and have cameos. Because it's just, like, I feel like whenever you do, stories like that involve all these old characters, it becomes about the old characters and not about the new characters. And,
yeah,
like,
I don't need it to be sitcom clap, Kaishi then walks onto the scene, we all pause for a minute as it pans around him,
Exactly. Says his cool catchphrase. He walks back into the jungle when he's done.
I thought it would be very funny if we just name drop Amuro Ray and they're just like, Amuro Ray? Like the guy that invented the Haro?
Yeah, he's like just some like toy magnate now. But I admire their restraint in not making Amuro seemingly important at all. Like, he was fucking probably asleep when Char got into the colony and took the Gundam.
Yeah, he probably
fucking Temray is there like, this life. Is not possible.
Spent more time with his terrible dad.
Yeah, but I just, the whole flashback is just so delightful. The eye catches, how they all go sure when they show you hear the little drum roll and see the logo of the show. How you see like the Gundam doing like that cool pose. I mean, it so much is lifted from the first episode of Gundam. The only thing I kind of miss is I wish Char had grabbed like the mask of the gun cannon and ripped it off, like how Amuro rips like the fucking tubes on the Zaku off. I was like, why isn't he grabbing him?
Oh yeah, speaking of flashback only suits, I really like the design for the Gundam 1, like the
Gundam 1. Yeah,
Gundam
so
I love the color scheme because I think it really ties the greebling on the body together in a way that makes it look a little bit more cohesive than on the other Gundam colors we see.
Because we've seen the prototype Gundam in a lot of different color schemes. I want to say, so this is like the red, white, and black. This is, I think, like the MSV original. I know the Origin makes it like a fucking crash test dummy, and then you see that captured Zaku that's the crash test dummy. So it feels like kind of a cute little reference to something like that. And then Char immediately explodes it. But yeah, no, I really like that. You see that prototype, and it has like the freaky eyes too. And you see that on the gun cannon as well. Like, it has the 4 eyes. And we know they're just cameras, but like, it's that very sinister element of it, of just like you kind of see like the slits like kind of glowing behind the visor as the visor like lights up and covers them. And then yeah, when you see like after it gets busted in the fight, its eyes are coming out. I really like. Of course, you have to have the Gundam kick. That's non-negotiable. And then yeah, Char does it to the other Gundam, and of course it's like even more like animated, crazy. Like, he's like doing the splits while he's doing it, and like just it's all sorts of nuts. But it's just it's very delightful. Like this is one of the rare occasions where I allow myself to just sort of like engage uncritically in just pointing at the screen and yelling, "Well, cool robot," which despite the show, I don't do that often.
And I think another really interesting aspect here is that the fan service, of course, doesn't just come from the show alone. By which I, of course, mean this takes very heavily from the Gundam novels. Of course, written by Tomino after the original show. which do feature Charllia in a heavier part. And part of that is that it does have Charllia Ayawi scenes in the novels.
Crazy.
Yeah,
completely ridiculous.
Based on the deepest cuts of Gundam ephemera. And even the idea of Char sort of winning the 1-year war, right, is also something that's more so in the novelization of Gundam. So, a lot of the setting details are actually directly taken from there, which in turn means that they are very true to sort of the ideas of UC. I think that's very well thought out.
Well,
in general, you go first.
I was gonna say it feels rewarding for fans beyond the surface level, right? It's not just look, it's Gundam 7-9 again, but it's like for fans who have engaged with a lot more aspects of the show than just like the original anime and the movies.
Yeah, exactly. It's for fans. It is definitely picking up more than the sort of Gundam ideas that you would get purely via cultural osmosis of living in Japan.
It's not just the memes.
Yeah, exactly. But then this is like the really interesting part about GQuuuuuX, right? Because it's really aggressively modern and going for a new audience, and it's got the cool stylish take designs and everything. But then it's also really aggressively fan servicey. It's really interesting how it like has that split in it.
Right. And I mentioned this in the last episode too. I love the take designs. I think they work really, really well. There's a lot less of a clash of like character design between like, you know, Char and Charllia and Temre and all the characters versus Machu and Neon. Like you can tell they're designed by different people, but like they don't look that out of place together.
Yeah, it's interesting when Charllia is in his like middle evolution of has to sort of look more like a 0079 character because he's hanging out with Char, but still needs to transition into his later design somehow.
Yeah, he's like a fucking Duat, and then he becomes Samurott in 0085. One thing we totally forgot to mention, we get like the OP in this, like the full with like the visuals and everything. Plasma by Kenshi Yonezu, and my hot take is that I think it's just okay.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think we'll have a discussion about this. I also think it's okay. I'll probably watch it. The thing about current music is that it's everyone trying to be Yoasobi, which is not the most... I mean, current music in terms of what people like for modern anime openings.
Right.
Which is not the worst, because I significantly prefer it to the 2010s when everyone was trying to be Lisa.
Yeah, honestly. Fucking yeah, put Crossing Field as every anime opening. Who cares anymore?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, it could be worse.
It could be worse. Yeah, I mean, my gripe, and again, I haven't listened to like Kenshi Yonezu. I just know Plasma, and then I know Kickback from Chainsaw Man. I didn't really care for either, because I just feel like it's this very fucking frantic, high-speed song that feels like there's nothing on like the sort of like bassy low end. It feels like, I don't think that like, maybe the opening is like, has something to do with the sort of thesis of this show, but like it feels like there's nothing holding it down. Like there's no like really heavy beats, like not being held down by gravity. I think the ending's a lot more fun, like from a purely musical standpoint. Not trying to do like analysis for the sake of the podcast, but yeah, it's whatever. I mean, like yeah, like speaking of Yoasobi.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. I was just gonna say it's very much like a radio song in a way that I'm not always a fan of. I prefer really bespoke OPs. I think they should just be yelling GQuuuuuuX or something at the end of this opening.
Yeah, they really had her with Turn A, huh?
Oh man, can you imagine the Turn A announcer coming back to go Gundam GQuuuuuuX?
GQuuuuuuX, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's whatever. It's fine. I will say though, I really do love that one shot near the end of the OP of like, because you see Machu running and the GQuuuuuuX is running behind her in the background, and then you see like Machu Neon and then Shuji, who we haven't met yet, but we know his name from like looking at the website, and then like Xavier and Charllia Bull and that one girl from the bridge, and they're all running, and then the Gundam and the GQuuuuuX are running in the background. And that shot feels like out of like a fucking 90s anime OP. Of like all the characters running in sync in the background. I'm like, oh, that's a cute little thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, speaking of knowing Shuji's name from the website, very technically speaking, you'd also only know Nyan's and Machu's name from the website at this point. They haven't actually said it in the show yet.
We don't fucking know anyone. we know Char, we know Kycilia, we know Temray. Because that's the thing. They do this in the first episode too. They do this thing where like you have to know who the character is, and there's no like apparently no one could think of a casual way to announce that. So everyone, when the first time they talk, they give them like their full name and title. Like
yeah, and I'm
Char's
just like, man,
to...
we need to announce that Makuve is here. That one's important. We gotta know.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Supreme Commander Kycilia Zabi. Like what? Yeah, we see her. I know who she is. Oh, it's really fun. Another thing. This is, I mean, I'm just like kind of bouncing around because it's like I feel like having a more structured, linear discussion about this isn't really that useful because we've obviously seen 0079, so it's like comparing different parts to it. One thing I like is how the Gundam feels a lot more like a robot than because you watch a lot of these shows, and especially like more modern Gundam shows will do this, where it's like a lot of them start to feel a lot more super robot than real robot. And certainly the way this fucking thing moves is like more super robot. But there's that one shot when Char's fighting the other Gundam 1, and like he has to turn and then use the beam cannon to shoot the missiles that are heading towards the Sodan. And then without turning the body, just the head does a 180 and like fires backwards like the head. Vulcan's like, whoa, that's a cool thing we've never seen before. Because again, it's like, this isn't a human body. This is a robot. He can do that. I just found it a cute little detail of like, I mean, it's hard to say it's grounding because this is a Gundam show and they're doing crazy shit in space, but like it's relatively grounded for what it is.
Yeah, I think oh boy. Okay. Well, let me put on my pretentious glasses. I think there's always a very interesting metaphorical space you work with your mecha, because obviously there's a fluid transition between the super robot and the real robot.
It's not, it's not a binary.
And I think I'm also comparing this to Victory Gundam in my head, since that's a show I just recently rewatched. I think it's very interesting, because in that show, it really splits the difference between emphasizing the mechanical incompleteness of the Victory as a machine that splits apart and breaks open and is fundamentally not a body of its own, and yet is very representative of like a greater spirit of war that is drawing in Uso as it like revs up, and you hear there's a really great scene at the end of one of the episodes where you just see the Victory rev up, and it's just its eyes lighting up and a low engine roar in the background that makes it completely seem like the Victory just got up and started screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of presentation is interesting, right? Because Gundam obviously always plays in the space of both. The Gundam is never literally alive. It's not thinking for itself, but it is a representation. It's a representation of something. It's like the Patriots, like, but before the retcons.
Okay, all right, I'm following you.
Maybe not the best example.
It's like, it's a character. It's not a person. Yeah. But it's a character, and it has exactly. Like its own sort of place in the show and the sort of mythos because of that. Yeah,
in a very direct sense, and it acts its will upon the protagonist, right? Like it draws the boys and girls into war as much as anything else does. With its like, the Gundam is like a demon. It promises you power in exchange for giving you what you want, and there's totally no downside to getting inside it.
Right? Yeah. So some shows play into that a lot more obviously than others. Some of them literally spell it out 100 times over the course of the show.
Yeah, I feel, have we dropped the word white devil yet in this show?
Yeah, no, it's always just the white Gundam. I mean, now it's the red devil. Whoa.
Whoa, it's even devil colors.
Oh no, it's scarier. There's that one bit Char gets in, and first of all, he sees the name Gundam. He says, a typical vulgar Federation name. I'm like, dude, you have like Gelgoog and Zagok. I don't think you can talk, dude. But when he's like
Federation names. Anyway, let me stuff my buddy Charllia into the bra, bro.
Yeah, right. It's like, come on, man, pot and kettle. But when he's flying out in space after leaving Side 7, he's like, these colors are so crazy. Like, is this just meant to be a decoy? And I mean, certainly painting it bright red, I guess there's like a little bit more camouflage than it being like white and red and blue and yellow, but it's not that much different. It's perverse almost seeing the white base, now the Sodon, in like that sort of like Xeon drab green.
Oh, yeah. This reminds me of one of my favorite mechanical scenes that sadly didn't get shown off, where the white base rams one of the asteroid bases, and you see that the arms of the white base are mounted on like these mechanical pistons that can like have a little bit of give, like tire hydraulics.
Okay.
Just like a really cool shot that's sadly not in this episode.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that like I can understand them cutting. So like it's a cool detail, but like ultimately, you know, if you're fitting everything into a 22-minute runtime, you have to put as much fan service of Char and Charllia drinking wine together as you can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think that scene got cut at all. That's just like all there.
Yeah. There's a line in there that I found a little interesting of Charllia's talking about how he's kind of torn between Giran and Kycilia. You know, like as a loyal Xeon soldier, clearly like they're both trying to do different things and he feels loyal to them both, and Char is like, what if I told you there's a third option? Which doesn't come into play because obviously Char disappears before he can kill Kycilia, so she's still around, and we know that from the previous episode, which is 5 years later. Giran, I imagine Giran must have been killed already. I think Kycilia might be the only zombie alive.
I think I know.
Because we know Dozel's dead.
Yeah, because this also, I mean, this plays into the really interesting fact of, obviously Xeon wanted, like, you know, it had its whole war for a reason. It wanted, like, independence, establishing a republic, maybe conquering the Earth. But which of the zombies survive really changes your idea of, well, what is Xeon gonna be like once the war's over, right? Because it's like, if it's all Giran Town, bad time for everyone.
Yeah,
obviously.
We're beyond fucked.
Yeah, if it's like Dozel, that's probably that's probably like your best shot. Garma alone probably runs that shit into the ground, instantly gets turned into useless doll of the aristocracy on Earth.
Yeah, Garma is like the most effete, ineffectual fucking leader imaginable. I think it's just Kycilia, which is like second worst case, maybe. She's not Giran, but she's certainly not. She's a lot more self-interested and a lot less like ideologically driven than Giran is, right? She seems much more. So she's a much more pragmatic kind of fascist, right? I mean, the idea of her, the idea alone of her sort of, you know, focusing more on like that kind of new type development than Giran's idea of let's just make the biggest gun imaginable. It's like, all right, like points for you there, but I can only imagine. It really does seem like basically everything went down the same way until after the Battle of Solomon. So like I feel like Revel and Giran and Dagwin, or like Revel and Dagwin got exploded by the solar ray. Kycilia probably killed Giran. Obviously, Dozel died in a similar manner during Solomon. Garma's probably, I don't know, actually. Garma might be alive.
Yeah, Garma might be fine.
He because like they would have said something if Char had killed Garma, like he does in 0079. I don't think he gets a chance to, because he doesn't get, like, you know, he's not on Earth tracking the white base down. He doesn't get to kill Garma.
And I think it's very funny to just truly play into the idea of, oh yeah, Garma being alive, but that truly affects nothing.
Right? Yeah. He's the control. He's the constant. Nothing changes.
Yeah, you know, what is he doing? Probably hanging out on Earth, going to parties. Not running his empire. Yeah,
right.
Here, so we have an heir in case things go really wrong.
Exactly. Karma, you gotta fuck Isolina now. I find it interesting too that, and like I'm trying to look at this through the lens of how justified you can be while making this a Char's counterattack reference of the Federation capturing Solomon and blasting it onto the moon. Basically, like, you took over our city, so fuck you. Like, we're taking our ball and we're throwing it at you and we're trying to go home. Like, that feels like a horrifically reckless thing to do when...
yeah, but... Oh, no, sorry, I finished that.
I was kind of trailing off. It just feels like... Certainly, they lost the Gundam, but they know how to make the Gundam. So it's not like Xeon stole everything from the Federation. Like, the whole thing was Zeon trying to figure out, in the original show, I mean, the whole thing was Zeon trying to, like, fight against the Federation and then, like, figure out, like, they're building things that we can't really match yet. Mostly the Gundam. So the fact that Zeon has that gives them such an upper hand, but not to the point where the war ends immediately. Like, the war still goes on for as long as it does. So clearly the Earth Federation is still able to put up a very big fight, even with this mobile suit being taken. So the fact that they had to resort to this, I'm trying to find a way to justify it beyond we wanted to do Char's counterattack again.
And this is where I can come in with a bunch of, like, ancillary Gundam knowledge.
Yay!
So, one of the reasons why the moon is so important for Gundam here is because it's, of course, the seat of the actual most politically important player in the Gundam universe, Anaheim Electronics.
That's true. How could I forget?
So a lot of the actual, like, manufacturing capacity for mobile suits and stuff of the Federation is on the moon.
Right.
Naturally, I think the way 0079 plays out is just like, oh, the instant they manage to make the GM, it's fucking over, because it doesn't matter how shit it is, because they can make 1 billion million GMs because they have a planet to work with.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw every guy imaginable at you, and eventually it's gonna work.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the big thing that lets the Federation win. Whereas here, I think it's playing into the idea of, oh, well, they have the manufacturing capacity and knowledge of not only the actual mass production, but also the high-end production of the Federation on the moon.
Right.
And the moon also notably is where all the rich people are in Gundam, which is the other big thing. That's true. That's the future. G-Savior.
Yeah. Yay! Yeah, okay, that does make it a lot more sense. It's more of like, this is worst case scenario. We have to, like, stop them at any cost.
Oh yeah. This is a super desperate last minute war crime.
Yeah, they're beyond fucked. And then it feels more of like, you know, Char stopped it. There's not some huge tragedy involved in it. Like, certainly a lot of people died in that battle, and, like, a big chunk of, like, the Moon and Solomon and Luna got, like, chewed up by the Zek Nova. But at that point, it's like, you know, Earth Federation gives up, like, all right, you guys win. Speaking of the Moon, though, I did find it very interesting. So there's that scene of Char talking with Dr. Flanagan.
Yeah,
in Granada.
Absolute Glubshido moment of, hello, nice to meet you, Dr. Flanagan. And I'm just like, man, half the people that watch 0079 won't remember who this is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you're the doctor for new types, right? Side note, I do like the room that they're talking in that has all of, like, the human history of space exploration memorabilia in it. Like, the lunar landers there. The space shuttle Discovery is there, which I've seen in real life. It's really fucking cool. And one of the most interesting things about this entire episode to me, really, is the fact that Char seems like a lot more capable of a new type in this alternate timeline than he did in the original show. Now,
well,
that could
you could see it as in the original show, his soul being quite literally pulled to the earth by following the white base.
Mm-hmm,
if you want to be very broad with it. But yeah, what do you think then?
Because part of me is like, okay, has he always been this capable because he was just always being compared to Amuro, which is just an unfair comparison to anyone else from that time? Or is it more the fact that, like, since he's in space, since he has the Gundam, he's able to sort of, like, experience that freedom and sort of is allowed to kind of be more of his own guy because he's, like, has all of a sudden isn't, like, the commander of a squadron, which is already high up enough, but is more like kind of like the leader of his own little, like, part of the Zeon military because of this. Because I don't think Char had enough juice in him back in 0079 to have, like, caused a sort of new type explosion with Amuro. It's like he was in the Zeon, which had PSICOM, like, it has the hands and everything. Like, they're wired, but there's still, I believe that is still, like, a PSICOM-enabled mobile armor. But it does really seem that he has more sauce in this version. And I don't know if that is just, like, they're kind of taking liberties with Char's character of being, like, it's not just the fact that he's gotten the Gundam, more the fact that, like, in this version of the timeline, Char, is a better new type and is sort of more in tune with that. Or if it is just like, yeah, no one else is around to have that level of new typeness as him. I'm not sure.
Let me put my glasses back on for a second.
Yeah, please.
So
please,
really interesting thing in like the difference in vision of new types between like Charllia and Giran is that Giran, of course, subscribes much more to the new type idea of, well, we're all space people and we're all new types, and that makes us better than Earth. So we should go kill them all.
That's right.
Whereas Charlia's vision of a new type is much more in line with the Earth Federation of, like, a new type is a guy who you put in a robot and he shoots real good.
That's right. Also true.
And I think this is maybe represents Char falling a little bit more in line with Charlia's vision of new typeness, right? Char, of course, is, and I guess people who've only seen this show would not know that, actually. The son of Caswell, or rather, the son of Zeonzum Daikum, the guy who invented the concept of new typeness, and thus probably more attached to the sort of broader philosophical idea of what a new type should be.
Uh-huh.
And I think because of that, maybe hasn't really spent his time being like, well, maybe I should try being more psychic, but rather being more attached to the idea of it being a purely philosophical awakening rather than one where you go out and have like a little spider sense tingle about a guy shooting at you.
Right.
So that might feed into him like practicing his like psychic powers a little bit harder in this version of the story.
Right. He's not necessarily looking at it through that philosophical lens. It's more the fact that you lucked out and you found like the new type machine. And so we're going to help you hone your skills for the purpose of doing war better, not for the purpose of like human understanding.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is always the really interesting struggle of portraying new types. And it's just the thing that I find kind of annoying in a lot of Gundam shows that pick it up in a way that's a little bit too literal. I think a lot of things can lean into, genetic type, new type, as the Gundam Wiki would say. I think that's pretty reductive. And a lot of the original run of shows is about how new type is a word that everyone uses and means something different.
Mm-hmm. It's such a fucking... And I mean, like, even in this server, I have the hosts as new types, and then I have, like, people who've hosted the show and who are no longer hosts as old type. That's not even like a fucking term. People say old type, and like no one says that with like genuine meaning, because it's not. It is such a, and it's meant to be such a like vague and nebulous term, right?
Right, because at the end of 0079, the entire crew starts having psychic flashes at each other because, for a moment at the end of the war, they realize the potential of, like, understanding each other and using their power for something that is helping others instead of blowing others up. And by the fucking time Bright shows back up, that shit is gone.
Right, yeah, it's so different. It's informed by, like, the era that the show is in, too. Or, like, sort of how far along. And how far along the UCS would have progressed of, like, what does it mean to be a new type in 0079 versus what does it mean to be a new type in 0096. Like, those are completely different. There's sort of this the overarching idea of human understanding, but that is such a vague and interpretable term that it means something completely different, like even just like 5 years later.
Yeah. And I mean, if we're going for the broader metaphor of new typeness, right? Like, new typeness as a thing that we're taking out of the show is just like a enhanced form of like understanding for the world and others that allows humanity to reach a new a new political system that isn't based on the oppression of others.
Yeah, because certainly it'll work this time.
Yeah. Because I mean, Tomino was involved in those political movements at the time.
Right. He's not just writing sci-fi, like he's writing things informed by his life experiences.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel that political backdrop is so heavily informative of the way these ideas are written in the original. Whereas a lot of people, of course, other famous Tomino quote, these nerds don't read books.
That's right. That's true.
And I think a lot of people that are purely inspired by seeing other anime maybe don't take the more, how do I put this? Like, the writing is less vague and more literal about what's happening in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah,
sorry, I feel like I kind of lost track of where I was going with that.
That's what happens when you talk about fucking new types. Every time. It always ends in everyone going, what were we talking about?
Yeah, that's true. Humans can't understand each other.
Mm-hmm. We've been trying. We got close with podcasts. It didn't quite work. I'm trying to think what else I have to say here.
I'm gonna look through my notes real quick. Do I have anything about this episode?
Guntank looks cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Have you seen like the concept art for it? It does a bunch of cool stuff that you didn't get to see.
It's so like sharp. It looks like a fucking. I mean, it looks like an Advance of Zeta version of a Guntank. It's so greebled and angular.
Oh yeah.
They uncheapified him.
Hey Max, what's your read on what the word Mav means so far?
Oh my god, they didn't even say that fucking word in this episode. I still think that Mav is I don't think Mav has any. Let me back up. I think Mav means like sortie partner. Like you are like when you're in a group of two, Char and Denim, or it's Char and Slender, whichever one of them goes with them. They're a Mav to each other. I don't think it's a seniority thing. I think it is like reciprocal. Like you are both each other's Mav. Don't know what it's short for, if it's short for anything. And it could be a term maybe co-opted from the war that maybe has some sort of greater meaning, like related to new types, or at least some sort of like understanding. But it's still a damn mystery to me.
Yeah, I can absolutely tell you that when I was watching the movie, I was just like, did they come up with like a space word for being gay? That was my instinctual thought in the context they first brought it up in.
It's called Sharma.
Yeah, I was just like, everyone's looking at each other with the like, I know what you are stare and going, oh, is she your Mav? And I'm like, okay, huh?
Yeah,
I see.
I part of me wants them to never explain it.
That'd be pretty funny. I feel like that would lead to a lot of fun fandom interpretations. What the hell does this mean?
God knows that the Gundam fandom at large can be trusted to interpret vague ideas.
Oh boy. I would love to see the Gundam wiki entry for what a Mav is. I'm sure it'll be very informative.
I wonder if they even have it up here. Mav, meaning still unknown. Okay. The wiki says, I don't know how true this is. I don't know what they're referencing here. I don't think there's any
Well, I can tell you this much. They do say it in the movie version.
Oh, okay, no. So okay. There are interview snippets with Enokido Yoji and Tsurumaki Kazuya. So the wiki has Mav, meaning still unknown, is a tactical doctrine where two people partner up in an assigned duo for mobile suit battles. As fighting in a Minovsky particle-filled battlefield basically takes place in visible range due to radar and sensor corruption caused by said particles, usually whoever gets the first shot gains a tremendous advantage. However, this advantage is lost the moment they attack, as their location is also now revealed. The Mav tactic covers up this loss of advantage and allows for better coordinated fighting. By UC 0085, the term has since become colloquial slang for any pair of two close people. Okay, so I'm basically right.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm also basically right in a way.
Yeah. So okay. I do like the idea that it used to be a more specialized military term that's kind of been like colloquialized over the years. That's a fun way of doing it. Apparently, and they say MAV with periods after each one, so it could be an acronym of something.
It probably is.
I
bet the first thing is like mobile suit or something.
Yeah, maybe it means Minovsky.
Oh, that's also true.
Yeah, everyone write in and let us know what you think MAV stands for.
Let's see. What is my other note here? Oh, my other note is, what's the Zack Nova type name for when Mashimir got so psychic he exploded?
Oh man, that was a fucking simp explosion. He got juiced too hard. Yeah, that's the thing too. There's no axis. It's not called the axis shock. If they really wanted to be silly, they'd call it like the Solomon shock or something crazy like that. Moon madness.
Moon madness. God, was Annabelle Gatto there too?
Oh boy.
Bringing in all the fakest guys. They're gonna like have a full pan down, like 360 zoom in on a guy that shows up and they're like, that's right, bitch. It's Johnny Raiden.
Yeah, Shin Matsunaga is here, right off frame. Okay.
Oh,
sure.
man, can you imagine if they bring in all the super fake one-year war losers?
Yeah, if you're from MSV, you're not a real person. It's not, I don't believe it.
Yeah, no, he was right there. He was fighting right off screen. You just couldn't see him. He had this really cool mobile suit. Trust,
I believe it. It happened.
Remember that time Shin Matsunaga, Amuro, and a girl that looks like Ayame from fucking Dead or Alive all piloted the Zeta Gundam against the Psychic Xiong?
I was there. It happened.
It was really real. You gotta watch the Evolve shorts. It's real. It's all real.
Bible. God, what a stupid franchise. Why are we doing this?
Oh, man.
At least it sells
Max,
toys.
If you haven't seen MS Igloo yet, you gotta check out MS Igloo. It does not get stupider than that. It does not get any dumber. They should bring in some MS Igloo characters.
God, I have it on my fucking my spreadsheet of people who are going to host the show. It's going to be something that I cover on the podcast for better or worse.
Max,
mostly
please,
worse,
please,
I imagine.
Please invite me to talk about MS Igloo with you.
We'll do Igloo, and then we'll just do the fucking Requiem of Vengeance just to like cover all of the weird 3D things in one go.
Oh God, man, what a gauntlet!
A podcaster's greatest gift is bad media. I've always said this.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true.
Is there anything else though?
No, I think I ran through all my Gundam-related notes.
Yeah, I'm excited for next week to get to modern day and see things. And then after, presumably the third episode will be new material for everyone involved. So it'll be exciting.
Yeah, that's the most exciting part. The show could be anything.
Page. Yeah. I mean, the reason I didn't watch the movie when it came out is because it was showing the weekend Monster Hunter came out. And I said, well, no, I gave myself a 4-day weekend to fight a Rathalos. I'm not going to leave this fucking couch. And I didn't.
I was still fully caught up in doing my, I gotta go back and play Monster Hunter Frontier on the fan servers that time.
Oh, God! So. Oof,
no,
what's
you
worse,
don't
watching Igloo or fighting fucking Zenith Tigrex?
Well, you're playing that game for a solid 50 hours before you get to the Zenith monsters. The thing is, right? I think that game has some juice to it. I think it's worth going back to. I just think, I didn't like the world story, but having a game where all the story is basically untranslated has truly made me go, no story at all is not a solution.
No, people say that. It's so in like all over the fucking Reddit. And I'm like, do you really want that? You don't want that.
No, I don't want the bare bones experience of just like people saying Japanese at me. I'm like, I sure wish I knew what I was doing this for.
I'm vigorously nodding. Yeah, sure.
They have a whole cool mechanic where you can hire like NPCs, and they have one for each weapon type, and they have their own little quest line, and they all have like a personality and little dialogue they give you for like side quests. And I'm just like, God, cute. This would be awesome if I could fucking read it.
I wish I knew what they were saying. Oh well. Oh man, a hunter from a strange land. Well, before we wrap up, Tequila Zaku, I want to know, what's your robot of the week?
Oh yeah, my robot of the week is the Durexel from Super Robot Wars.
Let me pull this guy up.
Just post this in host chat real quick. This is a Katoki design. This is very much a not a Gundam.
Oh boy, this is one of those, yeah.
It's like classic Super Robot Wars maximalism, which I love. Truly, the first avenue for making guys that no one could possibly animate within reason.
There is actually like some level of restraint shown here in that there's only like 2 primary colors.
Oh yeah. See, yeah, I think it's not too much, you know? I think the greebling is very held back. You can really tell what shape it's supposed to be.
Right.
All those mirror reflector parts are also funnels that come off.
Oh, naturally, yeah.
Naturally, and its side weapon is like big Gundam claws. It's probably the goofiest part of this design.
He's kind of Wolverine with it. It is funny.
Yeah.
There's a little sketch on the wiki of it without the funnel cloak, and it's so fucking bottom heavy. It looks naked. Put him back on. If you're cold, he's cold.
Yeah, no, huge legs. I think this thing is also like basically new Gundam size. This thing's gigantic.
I believe it. Yeah, one thing I feel like every Super Wars Kotoki design is like has me questioning if he can draw anything other than the wing. This thing, the fucking Hukbine, they all have the exact same head, and it's just the Wing Gundam's head.
It's really sad, because I love the Victory designs he did, and I'm like, I wish he would do more stuff that's like Victory style.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's like a particular Kotoki fave for me. It's got, it's like the trademark, huge legs, big old torso. I also love the colors. There's also, of course, the colors that the FTO has in Ray Earth 2.
They're very, very nice. That kind of like sandy beige and the very vibrant green. It does works well. I like the I'm not huge on like the chest gems or the chest jewels, but I like that the jewels are kind of on the funnels instead. It kind of helps. It draws the eye to them in a cool way, which I appreciate.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good sense of restraint. I haven't said this during the episode. I'm not the biggest GQuuuuuX design fan. I think I like Yamashita's like new Gundam Suzabi he did ages ago a lot better. But just because I'm always like about the big, broad, like flat surfaces. I need that visual clarity on my robot. I really like when it can contrast the greeblier parts with a sort of smoother finish. I think it helps me just pick out on the silhouette of a robot a little better.
Yeah, I mentioned this last week too. These designs definitely feel sort of more designed, knowing that like they would be animated in 3D most of the time instead of hand drawn. And B, I want to see what the model kits are all going to look like when they have to inevitably make some concessions to make them actually like buildable and posable. And like that would be cool if that translated to like a slightly more readable design.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I can go on a short tangent. A really interesting thing with like mecha detail, of course, is that animated mechs have the advantage of having sort of ambient occlusion for detail, right? It's like when you see in the 90s Gundams, from far away, they're a lot lower detail, and when you get close up, you get all the juicy, like, little panel lines. And I think if you do it like that, it helps sell the scale of the model, or like the robot, a lot better, because it's like it's like when you walk up to a tanker ship, and you can totally see, oh, this is not a smooth bow, this is dozens of welded, riveted plates. And having that detail that you can't see, but can see from certain distances, is something that's obviously way harder to do when you're using one 3D model for all the shots.
Right.
And sort of have a smooth, like, cell shading finish on all the parts that has less control over, like, how much line thickness you're giving certain details versus others. It's very much a technical limitation, which is why I do think a lot of the models look a little bit better, because it is like the line work on them is naturally lighter than the cell shading in the show is. So it's a little bit easier on the eyes.
Yeah. I'm excited to see more of, like, they've done so much iteration on just the Zaku alone that I'm intrigued to see what other things they're gonna kind of like iterate on, and they look very, very silly, but in a way where it feels like, you know, they feel like these big machines designed for sort of space use, and like they look human insofar as they were designed by humans, and it's hard to design something that isn't kind of human when you're a human. But like I kind of like that they look a little bit more alien and less like practically dude shaped.
Yeah, I love the little bulbous leg portions where it's like, oh, this is just like two thrusters effectively.
Right, it doesn't need to stand. It's going to be flying in space most of the time.
Yeah, it sort of puts to mind the way like the Zeon has that thruster skirt. That's like a detail on the Zaku I really, really like in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool. Direxil though, pretty sick. I dig it. And as we're wrapping up, Tequilazaku, where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, okay. You can find me on Blue Sky or Tumblr under Tequilazaku. You can find me, you can find my other currently running podcast on the Tie-In Theater on Blue Sky or currently on YouTube. We're still getting it up. That's where this week you'll hear me talk about, Detective Conan, oh god, what was that movie called? Secret in the Blue Azure? It's the pirate Detective Conan movie. It's okay, but we have a good discussion about it, I think.
I gotta see what's the fucking what's that new anime that just came out? That's by the Detective Conan author. There's like the remake of the other one. Yaiba, yeah, I gotta watch Yaiba.
Yeah, it's finally gonna free me from the curse. Now no one is allowed to abbreviate Kimetsu no Yaiba to Yaiba anymore.
Yeah. Great.
But yeah, that's about all the places. You can also go listen to my old podcast, On Hiatus, coming back any year now. The We Watch 100 Isekai podcast, if you truly want to see, 60 episodes of good old podcast CVT.
Yeah, it's... I cannot imagine.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well, this show's been Wow Cool Robot, which you know, because you've been listening to it the whole time. We're on Blue Sky at Wow Cool Podcast. The Discord link is in the episode description. Come hang out and post whatever gunplay you're building and talk about GQuuuuuuX. We've been having a lot of very fun conversation and theory crafting, theorizing here. I'm Max. I'm on Blue Sky at Maxi Bajillion. My other shows, two are on hiatus. They are slappers only about video game music, and Never Mind the Trollocs about Amazon's Wheel of Time. And the other is active, called Pod of Greed, where we just had Tequilazaku on to talk about one of the duels near the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Stay tuned, because in a couple months we're going to do our yearly card game tournament, and then we're going to be starting Zale pretty soon. So we're going into completely unknown territory for many of us, which is exciting. I think that's about everything. So, of course, Tequilazaku, as we always say at the end of these shows, war is bad.
But God happened anyway?
Usually it's Wow Cool Robot, but I'll take it. All right. Peach, see you next week.
See ya.